I'm hopeful that he does disarm. But in the name of peace and the security of our people, if he won't do so voluntarily, we will disarm him, and other nations will join us in disarming him.
Helen?
Since you speak for the president, we have no access to him. Can you categorically deny that the United States will take over the oil fields when we win this war, which is apparently obvious, and you're on your way, and I don't think you doubt your victory? Oil. Is it about oil?
No, and of course it is important that we make sure that Iraq has its weapons of mass destruction removed. That is the objective of our campaign.
There is no doubt that the regime of Saddam Hussein possesses weapons of mass destruction, and as this operation continues, those weapons will be identified, found, along with the people who have produced them and who guard them, and of course there is no doubt.
Well, there is no question that we have evidence and information that Iraq has weapons of mass destruction, biological and chemical particularly. This was the reason that the President felt so strongly that we needed to take military action to disarm Saddam Hussein.
Saddam Hussein is maintaining an arsenal of anthrax and smallpox and sarin gas. I think the question is rather simple. We either wait and see if these weapons are going to be used against Americans in an attack that would dwarf the horror of September the 11th, or we take action and make sure they cannot be used against Americans.
Well, no, I think what this is a coalition force that is designed to take down this regime and to control the weapons of mass destruction, which for certain, sure, exist within Iraq.
Dan, U.S. officials say the Iraqis have drawn a red line on the map around Baghdad, and once American troops cross it, the Republican Guards are authorized to use chemical weapons.
I think as we get closer to Baghdad, the odds just go up that we're likely to see the Iraqis use chemical weapons.
One of the big concerns early on was the southern oil fields. As you all remember, we had discussions about that. There was a lot of speculation about whether or not coalition forces would be able to get to the southern oil fields in time before, so that Saddam Hussein wouldn't destroy them. As a matter of fact, I had frequently talked about the southern oil fields, or oil fields in general, in my declaratory policy. Tommy Franks put a plan in place that moved on those oil fields quickly, and at least in the south, they are secure. And that is positive news for all of us.
Operation Iraqi Freedom. They were going to call it Operation Iraqi Liberation, then they realized, uh-oh, that spells oil. That didn't sound good yet.
Okay, I am an American of an Iraqi heritage, and I live here. All my family are back home. To all the people that are calling and saying they are in favor of this war, I just want to let them remind them of one thing. When we had the 9/11, the bombing that happened at the World Trade Center, did that unite the entire country? Did we all feel how horrible that act was? Can you please take that moment and remember for a second that there are Iraqi children, which me and my family here, me and my brother and sister over here, we are watching. Children are being slaughtered. Yesterday in the shopping center, 55 Iraqi women and children died.
Caller, where are your family members now?
My family are back home. I have brothers, I have sisters. We have been unable to get a hold of them. I mean, I cannot tell you, my mom, we brought her here because we knew that war was coming. We did not want her to face. She's over 70 years old. But you know, I mean, can you think for a moment, can you think of those children? All we hear about President Bush, I hear about Saddam Hussein. How about those people of Iraq? Are you liberating them all the way to heaven? Is that the liberation of the people of Iraq by bombing them? Do you know for the past 5 days they dropped more bombs than they dropped in the entire time on Hiroshima? Do you know that? Do you still support that war? I fear for the people over here, and you know, what the anti-American sentiment. I have 4 girls. They were all born here within the United States because we wanted the freedom, yes. But on the other hand, is this what we're doing? Is this the way we're liberating the people of Iraq? Is this rational? I mean, since Bush came, it was started with his father. 1.5 million Iraqi people died because of the sanctions that were imposed during the first Bush. Now, what's happening is another killing, another murder of those Iraqi people. And everybody's wondering, why are the people of Iraq resisting? Let me tell you why they're resisting. They're resisting because 1.5 million Iraqi people have died in the past 12 years. I look at CNN, I look at MSNBC, I don't see anything. I don't see the children of Iraq being shown. All I see is the propaganda for the war.
But they're saying there are mass surrenders and very little command and control. Secretary Rumsfeld, of course, did talk about being in communication with troops throughout the various units of the Iraqi military, whether it's the Republican Guard or the elite Republican Guard, or the regular soldiers, and about the mass surrenders at this point. So, so far all is well from here at the Pentagon, but they're expecting there will be some resistance at some point.
That a lot of their soldiers welcome American troops. They're surrendering gleefully, and happily, and they'll be treated well.
And our further advice would be to surrender, to save your country. There is no reason why the place should be torn up by Iraqis who are going to have to live there.
Yes, it's true. We dropped 25 million leaflets on those units to get them to surrender. But what you're seeing now are routinely report after report of hundreds of Iraqi Republican Guard, irregular forces, and even regular Army forces who are contesting, that is, trying to use their weapons to kill our ground troops. That means these psychological operations, we just shouldn't put much stock in them.
And in terms of the defecting, you said that there aren't the large numbers, at least that you had thought there would be. Any explanation in your mind as to why? Because there are some defectors, but and there's going to be a huge debate. Actually. But what's your thought on that?
Well, they are not defending Saddam Hussein. They are defending their country.
And I worry a little bit right now when I hear comments like I heard out of the CENTCOM briefing this morning, talking about the suicide bombing, that he said, well, this is an organization that seems incredibly desperate. I think that's exactly wrong. I think back to the original Rocky movie in which he said, hey, champ, he doesn't know it's a show, he thinks it's a fight. These guys think this is a fight.
Do you fear that U.S. troops could at some point down the road move into your country? Is that at all a preoccupation by your government or your people?
No, it's not, because we believe that the United States has its hands full with the adventure that it has started in Iraq. The political phase of the post-war era is going to be far more difficult and far more dangerous than the current military phase.
The United States was planning on just walking through here like it was going to be easy and all, but it's not that easy to conquer a country, is it?
Boy, this is going to shock a lot of people.